Agilicis helps the gaming industry realize its full potential through exceptional technology that goes beyond what other tech providers have trained hospitality to expect. We built our state-of-the-art hospitality-focused software for continuous innovation, industry-leading data sharing, maximum flexibility for best-of-breed performance, and smooth ecosystem integration, and an always learning guest profile engine so you can create personal experiences. It's time for hospitality to go beyond with technology from Agilicis.
Welcome to GNL Voice Unscripted. Today we're talking to Paul Ballard, Chief Information Officer at Circa Resort and Casino. Paul, are you ready for these questions to get fired at you?
I'm ready. Let's shoot.
Perfect. Let's have some fun then. So let's start with some fun facts. Where are you from?
Originally, I grew up mostly in Kentucky, but I've lived kind of all over the U.S. And I've also lived in a couple other countries.
That's amazing. And what is your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie of all time is probably not one many people have seen. So George Romero, the guy who made Night of the Living Dead, he also made a movie about a traveling band of a traveling Renaissance fair where the guys joust on motorcycles, starring Paris, and it's my favorite movie. It's called Night Riders with a K.
That sounds actually really interesting. And what's your favorite drink?
Bourbon. I am from Kentucky.
Yep, gotta love it. And what's your favorite place in the world?
My favorite place in the world, and I haven't seen all of it yet. But my current favorite place in the world is Barcelona. Barcelona has everything you could want in a city, from the beach to modern to ancient, Gothic part of the city. It's fantastic.
Definitely gonna have to add that to my bucket list. And what's your favorite season? You're from Kentucky, so you actually have experienced all four of them, unlike Vegas
Yeah.
here.
Not so much like Vegas. No, my favorite season is fall, particularly in Kentucky. It's very nice in Kentucky. It's still warm enough to do things outside, but cool enough that it's not a steam bath the entire time.
Yeah, definitely. And what was the last book you read?
The last book I read was a trilogy from an author named Jeremy Robinson called the Jane Harper trilogy. It's about a intrepid investigator who for the world. I can't remember. It was some made up organization who's investigating to make sure that the anti-whaling community isn't breaking rules. Anyway, it's a fantasy zombies Viking zombie movie series. It was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. Fantasy is my favorite book, kind of book as well. And would you consider yourself a big reader?
Reader, I wouldn't say reader. And maybe I should make that caveat. I listen to a lot of books on Audible. So whenever I drive or travel, I'm usually listening to books.
Fun. And what's the last concert you went to?
Last concert I went to was the Eagles at the Sphere. It's one of the great things you got to love about Vegas. That's not just any concert. That was pretty amazing.
I saw them as well, and that was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
It was great. That's not the first time I've seen the Eagles, though. I actually saw them in their Hell Freezes Over tour when they got back together in I think it was the 80s or 90s.
Wow, I'm so jealous. That's one of my favorite bands. My mom, I grew up listening on that because of my mom, so that's amazing. And what was the last thing you learned?
The last thing I learned, or the last thing I'm trying to learn, is I've been watching and learning about neural networks and how to build your own neural networks. Now, those are the base of the vector databases that are the base of large language models. So it's kind of the core technology behind a lot of what we currently look at as AI. And so I'm trying to get my basis of the understanding of how that works so I can build my knowledge up and make sure I understand better how the current models for AI work.
That's cool. That's really cool. And if you had a superpower, what do you think it would be?
Probably teleportation, because I love traveling. Getting to the places is the biggest pain in the neck. And so if I could just pop into Paris for breakfast or something, that would be awesome.
Definitely. And what do you think is the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Well, so I know I'm supposed to say wife and kids and stuff, right? But one of them is one of the best things that happened to me when I was 14. I lived across the street from the high school, and I noticed that my favorite teacher was at the high school during the summer. So I went in to see what he was doing, and he was building the new computer system. Now this was 1983 83, 84. And so it was a Heathkit computer where you had to build them from parts. You had to put them together. They were kits. There were no networks, anything like that. So I was able to help him with that project, and that's what got me started in computers.
That's really cool. And to kind of combat that, what do you think your biggest regret is, or something that's happened to you that's just been very unfortunate?
Well, so I mean, the personal things in my life that have happened to me, I've been pretty fortunate. I can't say that, I've lived a pretty charmed life, I would say. I know that from a professional standpoint, there are situations where there are startups I wish I'd joined when I was young. At the time, I was pretty focused on, not taking too many risks. I have a wife and kids and things like that. There are a couple of startups who blew up, and I was like, yeah, I could have been employee number 150 in that multi-billion-dollar company.
Definitely. And what's something you've always wanted to do but haven't got the chance yet?
I haven't got to travel to Australia, New Zealand yet. That's part of the world I haven't gotten to, so I would like to do that.
Definitely. And now jumping into your career and your strategic thinking that's gotten you to where you are today, I would like to ask, what is it like having worked both for a manufacturer in the gaming industry and also an operator?
Well, it's interesting to see the software from both sides. So having created the software, and you create it and you shape it for all the different regulatory bodies and the different types of customers. And then when you become an operator, you're very focused on how you're using that software to make money. And so things that seem important to the software manufacturer, things like, oh, we're going to add this great new feature. It may be important for a larger base of their audience, but it may not be important for you as the operator. As the operator, things are more important are things like stability, reliability, stuff like that. So I would like, if I were going back into the software side of the world, I would say I've learned a lot more about the importance of stability and reliability and how the software is maintained.
Definitely. And with your background in software development as a CIO, how do you balance the build versus buy decisions?
Well, it can be a difficult decision. Largely, it's based on availability of resources and availability, how big the task is. So, it's one thing to go to a third-party company and say, I want to buy this product. It's going to cost $100,000, where you're paying for some piece of their development, versus we want to build something brand new that's custom only to us, in which case it's going to cost twice as much, right, to build it ourselves. And a lot of times, too, you have to take into consideration things like the maintenance costs.
Yeah.
When you build your own software, it's up to you to maintain it, and that has its own expenses. And so you kind of have to weigh the benefits, the business benefits of having something that maybe not everyone has, or having something before your manufacturers are able to provide it to you, with the overall cost for keeping it running and building it in the first place.
Definitely. And since AI has become so prevalent, especially in the recent years, have you seen any game-changing AI products in the gaming industry?
Not specifically in the gaming industry, I would say. There are game-changing products in the industry in business overall. But I think the regulatory world and the kind of slow pace of advancement in the gaming industry, specifically in the operator side, kind of insulates itself from being too radically disrupted. Certainly in the rest of the software world, we're seeing some pretty amazing things going on with voice AI, the ability to handle calls, interact with humans through voice. Is really come quite a long ways. And then, like recently, I know we're looking at a AI contract management system where it can pick apart the contracts entirely on itself, almost to the point of giving legal advice. Not quite that point, but very, very good at picking apart documents based on, the hundreds or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of documents they've already sucked in through their machine learning.
Definitely. And with everything going on, how do you see the role of CIO/head of technology changing for the decade and in the past decade?
Well, in the past decade, it's very much moved to a focus on cybersecurity. where this was an aspect of everything you did before. Now it's become almost all encompassing. The amount of time and effort and energy spent simply on keeping things secure right now is really, really become quite a major piece of the work. In the future, I see AI being something similar to that, where as AI becomes more and more adopted, we're still going to have to do the same things we always do, which is how do we control it? How do we maintain it? How do we make sure it's secure?
Yeah.
Things like that. It's just going to shift our focus from being predominantly how are we securing what we already have to how are we securing and maintaining our systems while still being able to take advantage of the advances that AI gives us.
Definitely. And where is the greatest potential for vendors to fill a need in the industry right now?
Biggest thing vendors need that I would say that we could use from our vendors is for them to work with regulators and to modernize their platforms. A lot of the key vendors within the gaming industry, their platforms are old. And we really need to have modernization. We need to work with regulators to make them understand how cloud technology works, all of the advantages that other industries get to receive from advanced technology. We want those same things in our industry too, but they're harder to get implemented here. And so we need the vendors to help with making the case on why these things can be secure and how they can be managed in such a way that we're still providing, the right regulatory and compliance environment for our players and our businesses, but still being able to utilize the latest technologies and then modernize their software.
Yeah. And what role do you think robotics will play in resorts in the near term to the next 3 to 5 years with all the things we're seeing coming out with Elon's robots and with everything like that?
I think there's a little bit of a question that we don't really know yet how well humans are going to interact with these robots.
Yeah.
And so I think that while there's great potential in automating what has been predominantly tedious manual tasks, I think that the guest interactions, where you have customer-facing interactions, has to be done very carefully, because a part of the experience of coming to a Las Vegas resort is that feeling you get of being treated special.
Yes.
Right. That you're a guest, that you're someone we care about you being in our property, and it's hard to do that through a robot.
100%. Yeah, because you still have to have that emotional feeling you want them to connect.
Exactly. And we're not yet sure exactly how people are going to respond to some of these robotics.
100%. And AI specific, do you see the industry changing in the next 5 years to come drastically due to it? Or do you think it's going to be more progressive?
I think it's going to be slower. It's going to take a little bit more time. I think we're going to see advances in other parts of business and other industries before we see it in the gaming industry. But it is coming. We're starting to see relatively small, minor things like AI transcription, voice AI, other implementations of AI within products will start to come to us. But before we start using it largely or to a greater extent within the gaming industry, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Definitely. And to move into more talking about your mindset and your wisdom throughout your career, getting to the place that you've become, what do you think is the best piece of advice you've received?
The best piece of advice I ever received, I didn't take. So that's how I know it was good advice, is because I didn't take it, and he was right. So I was working while I was going to college. I was working for a company doing data entry temp work. And I asked the guy I was working with if he thought I should, because I had an opportunity to get a full-time job, or if I should stay in school. And he said, no, you should stay in school. Once you start making money, it's almost impossible to go back.
Yeah.
I took the job, started making money. I came back to that same company 3 years later as a consultant.
Yep.
To help them build their software. And I got a chance to tell the guys, like, hey, you're absolutely right. But I should have stayed and finished school first.
Stay in school, kids.
That's right.
And if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
One of my favorite people to read about and hear about is Ben Franklin. And that's because he did everything. I mean, he was a statesman. We know him as the politician and the kind of founding father of our country, but he was also a incredible inventor. He was very, very much into the social and economics of the time. He was he was a diplomat to France. He was kind of just an amazing all around guy who's did a bunch of stuff, and that's the kind of that's kind of what I'd like to think my life would be like, either him or Buckaroo Banzai.
Yep. And did you have a mentor? And if so, who were they?
I had two. My first mentor, his name was Bruce. He taught me about how to be a professional software engineer and covered my butt long enough for me to get my feet under me. Because again, I was very young. I started when I was 20 as a professional software engineer. And so he helped me get started, taught me how to be a software engineer, taught me how to understand what business needs and things like that. And then my second one his name was Reza, and he taught me how to work within a large company, how to manage and get the things that I need within a bureaucratic environment.
Yeah.
He was pretty amazing. One of my favorite pieces of advice from him was there's nothing more powerful for reserving a meeting space than a piece of paper. It's just reserved, and slap a piece of paper on the room. Doesn't matter who reserved it. Everyone will leave it alone.
That's a good piece of advice. And what have you found to be the best approach when training your team and a team of large size?
Well, for training, I think the best thing that you can do is to give as much hands-on experience as you can. So we spent quite a bit of money and effort to develop an internal lab for our gaming floor and most of our systems. So we have a much scaled down, but the same equipment as we have in production. And so when we want to do a new release, we can go put it into that lab, test it, work with it. If we want to install new hardware, we have a place to go install it and test it. So that's been a big piece of the kind of hands-on experience. It's hard to do better than that. Yeah. The other piece I would say is as a CIO, I need to get into the details with them. A lot of what we do is technical. A lot of the difficulties come in at the low level, and you have to be able to get down to that level and understand the problems your teams are so that you know where their knowledge is missing, what things they need to be trained on.
And what have you found to be the best motivator for your team?
Best motivator for my team, and I believe any team, is a sense of ownership. That is probably the greatest aspect of my team that I have here at Circa and all of our properties is that they feel as though they own these systems. And so when there's a problem, I don't have to ask people to work on it. I just say, hey, there's a problem, and everyone comes running. Yes. Because it's their system and they take it personally. And so having that and then creating a team that works well together and enjoys working together, it really does help with things like attrition and being able to get the right people on staff. Yes. And building a good team is to make sure that they like working with each other and that they feel a sense of ownership. 100%.
Well, Paul, this was amazing. Thank you for joining us. I do have one last question, and that is, how excited are you for this year's roundtable?
Super excited. Super excited. No, I enjoy going there, going to the summit. I enjoy seeing all of my other CIO colleagues and getting to talk about the vendors and just all the different topics that are important to us. It's really an important chance for us to be able to leverage each other's knowledge and expertise.
Thank you, Paul. We're excited to have you every year, and especially this year. We had to throw a shameless plug in real quick.
No problem.
But thank you for joining us on Voice Unscripted. This was a great episode, and we look forward to having you back soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
With over 50 years global experience, BPOS delivers comprehensive point-of-sale solutions tailored for casinos, powered by a robust enterprise platform with all the integrations you need, from player rewards, PMS, and camera systems to business intelligence and more. BPOS seamlessly connects your operations. Our solutions cover point-of-sale systems, online ordering, self-serve kiosks, mobile ordering, pay-at-table options, QR code ordering, KDS, inventory management, enterprise reporting, and beyond. Backed by exceptional US-based customer service and support, we ensure your casino's operations run smoothly and efficiently.